It is Kirsten Liebelt. It is so good to see you. I wanted to jump on live and bring you some information about my holiday shenanigans. Sort of. Not really. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I talk a lot about insulin resistance and what to do about that. And I had two comments this morning that made me think, I'm going to go live with this today and just see if we can't chat about it a little bit. So the question is, what did I eat too much of over the holidays that stalled out my weight loss? Can anybody guess what that is? Okay, it's not that hard. But anyway, so I talk a lot about using targeted supplementation to get your body like launched. And then I talk about trading out food ingredients because, and this is just my own authentic story, because you have to fix what got you into the pickle to begin with. But what happens is a lot of times people, they start their journey with changing out their food ingredients, but there's so much misinformation out there about what we should be eating on any given day for whatever, when we're trying to be mindful of eating for blood sugar response. So everything I put into my mouth, I ask the question, is this going to spike my sugars? Because once you're insulin resistant, your path is different than somebody who is not insulin resistant. Now, you can turn it around, you can walk a healing process, you can become more metabolically flexible, you can do all of these things. And that's a beautiful thing, right? So, but it takes time. And, excuse me, and you don't know sometimes until you start to really get rid of things in your diet, you don't know what's hindering you. So for me, and I'll give you more than just this one, I'll start with this one because this is the one that messes me up. But then I'm going to give you mindset around it. For me, starting like in November and going all the way through December, it was nut flours, almond flour. So number one on your list is almond flour, of something that can stall out your weight. And nuts are just, they're really highly caloric. And think about it, when you have a flour, how condensed that is, right? So you're getting lots of nuts in a quarter cup, okay? But that is the main way to eat keto treats. And I'm a treat person. I want to trade out my treats more than anything else. That's how I started my journey. So I already know that nut flours are going to mess me up. But this is the mindset around it. And then I'm going to give you a handful of other foods that might be stalling you out so that I can help you with that today. When you eat clean keto, meaning you really rein in what you're eating so that you can be burnt, so that you're burning fat for fuel, right? When you cheat and have, like, let's say too much almond flour like I did, that doesn't mean that I'm gaining my weight back. It means I'm just stalling it. And isn't that good news? Isn't that really good news? That it doesn't mean, like I've spoken to somebody recently who went on a weight loss injection, gained it all back. I've spoken to more than one person about this because maybe they weren't given the tools to do what we're doing, right? So that's a lot of what I teach in my Facebook group, the foods. Okay, so nuts and seeds are one food that you could be ingesting too much of, and it's messing up your ability to lose weight. And you're thinking, geez, I lost weight at the very beginning. Well, maybe just recalibrate a little bit, right? Tweak it down a little bit further. That's why yesterday on live, I talked about, I really focus a lot on meats, greens, berries, eggs. And I can't remember what else I had said on that particular one, but I keep it very streamlined and I make as much out of that as I possibly can. Number two, let's talk about dairy for a second. Okay. Now I am not dairy free. I'm sure that it would benefit me greatly if I was. I do know how to, however, tweak my dairy. I know how to bring it down and be like, I just ask myself a lot of questions, and maybe this is something you can do for yourself. And the questions would be, gosh, I wonder if I really need to like do I even care about the cheese on that? Like maybe the cheese isn't even the highlight of that taco meat that I'm eating. Like maybe I don't even care. Maybe you do though. It depends on who you are, right? So tonight I was doing a live in the Facebook group, and I was talking about I changed out ingredients to the foods that I love. You ask yourself the same question. What do you love? Because I want to change out the foods for, let's say I love lasagna, which I do. So I'm going to find a good way to do lasagna. Maybe you like chicken a la king. Then you need to go and find that recipe, that keto recipe, so that we don't live in deprivation land. That's not what we're doing. We're living in just trade out land. And that's, again, a lot of what I teach. Okay, so dairy is number 2. Rein it in if you need to rein it in. And so I just ask myself that question. If I don't care about it, I don't add it. I try to not be as automatic. I try to be less automatic in the foods that I'm putting together. So nuts and seeds, number 1, that could be stalling you out. For me, I don't keep nuts in the house for that reason. I don't keep them around for snacking. However, I do eat nuts when I go on a business conference, because then that's intermittent. And then that's something in my purse that I know is going to satisfy me and keep me full. And I'm not going to be hangry come lunchtime, right? All right, number 3, processed keto products. This is a really, really big one, because y'all, we are so messed up by the marketing of companies. Don't you understand? They are for profit. They will tell you anything that they think you want to hear. So what happens is this. They'll literally call, because there's no governing, and I don't want one. Don't get me wrong. I don't want one. But there is no governing agency that says what keto is. Right? Is there an official legal way to define keto? No. There's like a medical thought process, right? Like you're trying to get into ketosis, but for the most part, that's not even really what we're trying to do anymore necessarily. Like keto was developed for epilepsy years and years ago. So it has a medical basis for it, and it does a lot of really, really good things. I can go down that path too. People who have autoimmune conditions and they find that, being in ketosis and, sometimes just even going straight carnivore can really help them out. But for the most part, in our American little society here, we're talking keto for weight loss. We're talking keto for, whatever. I'm talking keto for blood sugar balance, because I'm talking about insulin resistance, and I'm talking about eating foods that don't spike your sugars. So what happens is when you go to Costco or you go to the grocery store and you're buying keto products, and you pick something up and at the grocery store, and it says, keto granola, keto snack, keto whatever, and you're like, oh, that's really cool, I'm going to buy that. And then you might turn it around and the ingredients might be like rice flour, cane sugar, coconut sugar. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, that's not going to ever put you in ketosis. But see, you maybe don't know that because that wasn't your goal in your head, which is fine. But instead what happens, and you're like, I don't understand why I'm eating keto products and then they aren't working. Well, because number 1, they're going to be higher in calories, because probably they're filled with a lot of nuts and really good things for sure. But then number 2, they've got all these hidden ingredients that you didn't know to look for. I actually grabbed, I did today. So it was my birthday, and I went out and I bought some little keto ice cream bars. And I don't do that very often because, again, I know myself. You got to know yourself, people. I know myself. I'll just overeat on that. So, but I grabbed them and I did not even read the ingredients. That's kind of not me, but I did it anyway. I trusted it and I shouldn't have, but that's okay, because it was a learning lesson. And so one of the, and this is now I'm going to go to number 3, because dairy was number 2. Number 3 was the processed keto products. So now this is going to take me into number 4, which is artificial sweeteners. Now, let's not get confused. These are the 4 that Maria Emmerich would say that she's okay with, and so am I. Erythritol, stevia, monk fruit, and allulose. And I use them for different reasons. Erythritol, stevia, monk fruit, and allulose, okay? However, this one had mannitol in it. You're going to find mannitol in certain ice creams, right? But also like Russell Stover candies. Stay away from maltol. It's spiking your sugars. Now, Maria Emmerich is dealing with people who, she's been a keto educator for like almost 30 years. So she's dealing with people who are healing from autoimmune conditions, who have severe medical issues, and she's working with them to get off of meds. So she's very picky about her ingredients. So I have I feel good researching her research, repeating her research, and sharing that with people because she's doing it for a reason. She's very particular. And if you have heard that erythritol is bad for you, on my website, kirstenliebelt.com, my first last name.com, I do have a video on there that is 11 minutes of her and Craig talking about erythritol and how faulty that study is and how it's messing people up because they have false information. So artificial sweeteners, meaning saccharin, aspartame, like you could be drinking Diet Coke all day long or Coke Zero or whatever with aspartame, and that could be so messing you up you have no idea. And it is keeping you from losing further weight. Or like saccharin, I know that's whatever. But if you're, even still, there's a scale, right? There is a scale of insulin resistance. I always say on one side is the person who basically has just a little bit of belly fat and they know that they know they're insulin resistant and they need to deal with it. And the other side is somebody who is very metabolically turned upside down. They're type 2, they're on lots of meds, they've got lots of issues. So not everybody's going to be created equal. So the rules do not apply to everybody the same way. This person might be more metabolically flexible, or they're more metabolically flexible and they can handle certain things. This person cannot, their system cannot. So you have to test yourself. So if you are type 2 and you are testing your blood sugars, try different things and find out what they're doing to your blood sugar over the next 2 hours. Try, if you're not sure if that stevia brand or that stevia blend is going to be okay for you, test it and find out. Or cut things out, do elimination, and find out maybe what it has been that's been bugging you. Okay, so that's number 4, I think. Nuts and seeds were number 1, dairy was number 2, processed keto was number 3, keto products, and number 4 was artificial sweeteners, and then number 5, high carb veggies. This is a big one because we want to live in the it's all about balance world. And after all, didn't God make a carrot? Didn't God make a potato? Yes, he did. And I know there's a lot of tricks in the marketplace. You make your potatoes and then you put them in the refrigerator and whatever. But again, everybody is metabolically different. So there's a guy that does, like, he has a continuous glucose monitor and he tests all of these different foods for people. And you can see how a lot of the tricks that we've been told actually aren't working. He goes, that didn't work. And I'm not even insulin resistant. I'm not even type 2. So we have to be careful what we're listening to and actually get results for our own body. So if your weight is stalled, that's a flag for you. Okay. And so when I think about veggies, I think about greens. And what I did in the Facebook group tonight, spaghetti squash. I don't eat any other squash, although I love squash. Now, does that mean that because I'm not type 2, I just started my insulin resistance in my 20s, gestational with 1 baby, hypoglycemic with the 2nd baby. Didn't do anything about my insulin resistance until I was in my 40s. But I'm the only person in my family that avoided type 2. Okay, so I started with targeted supplementation. A few years later, I started trading out my food ingredients so that I could stop what got me into the pickle to begin with. Okay. So I'm not type 2. So maybe I can do things that other people can't do. So does that mean that I'll never have a squash another day in my life? No, that's not what that means. But it does mean that while I'm still in weight loss mode, I've gone from a 2X down to a large in my 50s, post cycle stopping. I'm mindful. I'm still on my journey. If almond flour was stalling out my weight during the holidays, I'm just grateful that I didn't gain weight, right? So spaghetti squash is low in carbs. And if you didn't know that, there you go. And it's a fun squash to work with. But basically I think about greens, right? So all of those starchy vegetables, I don't do them. I used to reward myself with, sweet potato fries at Red Robin. I laugh at myself. I crack myself up. Because why wasn't my weight going in the right direction? I don't know. I know I'm not the only one. Okay. And then the last one is, and this does not pertain to me just because I don't choose it. I don't care about it, but alcohol. And did you know, and my girlfriend, I had already heard this. However, this is such an amazing point. Alcohol can really mess with your fat loss. It can mess with your metabolism. It can mess with everything. It just brings it to a halt, including the alcohol and extracts. Did you know that? Isn't that interesting? So Maria Emmerich just did a video on that. And so she sent me the video and I'm like, that is a really good reminder for me to talk about that. So again, everybody's on a different place in their scale, right? Their spectrum of insulin resistance. So maybe you're very metabolically flexible. You're over here and it's not that big of a deal and it doesn't affect you. But maybe you're over here thinking, why is it every time I make homemade whipping cream, this is just coming to my head, real cream with vanilla extract, some sort of sweetener. Why is this raising my blood sugars? There you go. That might be why. So sometimes we have to investigate a little tiny bit. Sometimes we have to do that. But anyway, so if this information is helpful to you, share it out. If this information is like of interest to you, like this is, that you need to view your weight loss through a different lens this year. No more of the old counting the points because now it's not working for you anymore, or only calorie deficit because it's not working for you anymore. And you know that you have to put on a different pair of glasses. And looking at your food and your world through insulin resistance when you are insulin resistant changes everything. Because when your insulin is high and when your weight loss and your sugars are high, you can't lose weight and you're wondering what's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a different path that you take. Okay. So always share information, and of course, follow along. But I do have a Facebook group and you can go to KirstenLiebelt.com and scroll down and you'll find the Facebook group. Jump in there. There is a masterclass pinned to the top of the group. It's free. I did it in December. It's an hour long and it's going to explain how you can take targeted supplementations and food ingredient trade outs and shift your world. And the testimonies are just so much fun, you guys. They're so much fun. Because again, if you've never used the lens of insulin resistance for your weight loss, it's like a key. It's like putting a key into a lock. Oh, my stars. My insulin is down. My sugars are down. My inflammation is down, etc. And then on Monday, February 5th, I'm going to be starting the 5-day challenge in there. I do this every single month. And I go through my background. I go into my pantry and my refrigerator because I want you to have tangible tools in your toolbox so that you can let's do this. Let's keep you encouraged and keep putting tools so that this becomes new habit for you. So if nothing else, get in the Facebook group and get that information. The masterclass is at the top of the group. And I just hope you have a super blessed day. And if you ever need anything, my DMs are always open. Okay. You can always DM me and let me know what it is that you need. And I am not seeing a lot of comments. So if I'm not answering, I apologize. I'll come back and I will check comments and get people answered, etc. Okay. So I will pay attention. I promise. All right. Have a super good night. See you later.